Life is so hard sometimes, and having these little teeny things together can help make the tinnitus not seem so bad, or you don't even realize that you're just nice and comfortable and you fall asleep. Because honestly, you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be relaxed. And then when you wake up the next day and someone goes, "How'd you sleep?" You're like, "I slept great. Oh my gosh." Like it just makes the difference. You can just see it
Mhm.
in the person's eyes and you can hear it in their tone of their voice. Even if you don't see them, you can hear it and they're like, "I slept amazing." You're like, "That's so good." Or I'm like, "I don't even
It does
remember
change
sleep."
your day. It totally changes your day. If you have a
Yeah.
good night's
Totally.
sleep,
Welcome to the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast, an exploration of determination, hope, self-discovery, and triumph. We'll share the personal experiences of those that are living with hearing loss and provide a haven for their stories to show others that they are not alone in this journey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast. My name is Dr. Dawn Heiman. This is
Dr. Emily Johnson.
Dr. Stephanie Michaelides.
And Lindsey Doherty.
And today we wanted to talk about how would you get better sleep if you are suffering from bothersome tinnitus. I think we had an episode already where we talked about why is my tinnitus getting worse? And we touched on the fact that if you don't get good sleep, your tinnitus could definitely be a lot worse. So we thought we would just get into that specifically here of how to help you if you are struggling with getting a good night's sleep. So, Dr. Johnson, if a patient says I can't sleep at night, what do you tell them?
Well, first thing that I look at is just general sleep hygiene, because most of us are on our phones until the very second that we get into bed. And we know that that blue light right before we go to sleep is not good for us just in general, but definitely not for our patients who are struggling with their tinnitus, because it just keeps your brain on. When you're scrolling through social media, when you're texting, anything like that, you want your brain to be as calm as possible before you go to bed. And if you're feeding it information constantly and then it's right in a light source, it's hard to relax right before bed. When are we putting down our phone before we go to sleep? Are you watching TV until the very last second? What does their bedtime routine look like? And where can we make some adjustments there first before we go into any sort of additional aids or additional things to add to the bedtime routine?
I also feel that being in a quiet environment is every patient who has bothersome tinnitus is like the worst case, because that's all that you're focusing on. So I feel like there's lots of different types of noises that you can add to your environment, whether it's just the TV on, whether it's just music. Some people say white noise doesn't help me, but there might be just something else that you can use that's calming to you specifically when you're trying to get to sleep and all you can hear is that tinnitus.
I totally agree with that. And it's not a one size fits all for those sounds, which I think we have slightly touched on in another episode. Those needs or wants or effects of certain noises, those can change over time. And so for me, I know I've changed the color of my noise or the different elements that I put into a noise mix on the app that I use. So yeah, if it's TV, if it's an oscillating fan, whatever sounds good to you.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that they can deal with the tinnitus during the day. Like you're saying, the house, the work, everything seems to have sounds. And then they start to have anxiety before bedtime because they feel like as soon as they enter that bedroom, the tinnitus is going to be bad. So, wow, I guess the lights just went out on me. So I feel like I tell them all the time that they need to set up the bedroom maybe an hour or two before they go to bed, turn on a sound source, and get themselves into a better mindset. I'm going to see if I can turn on these lights.
They should also be turning off the lights.
If I
have a
trip
nice
in the dark
space.
and I break my shoulder again.
But yeah, like setting the scene before you
Mhm.
actually have to get in there and be relaxed, like turning off that phone, letting the mind start to calm down, maybe doing Sudoku puzzles. That's when I do my like mind games while
I
I've
do
got the
like
background noise on.
Even
I do
doing
like
proper
Sudoku.
things during the day, like with your diet, with exercise, can also contribute to having a better rest or less bothersome tinnitus when you're going to sleep.
You know, I would always tell my kids not to have chocolate right before bed. Maybe it was like a parenting thing, but I was like, it's going to give you nightmares. But chocolate has caffeine in it too. And so that could, and you know, acid in there too.
Good
You
point.
probably want to
Yeah,
avoid coffee at
how many
night.
people are like, people get their coffee and it's later in the evening and things like that. They're at a Starbucks or some kind of energy drink because they're tired. But you really have to stop and think, like, what time is it really? Like, I can't have caffeine after 1 o'clock if I want to go to sleep. It's a slow digestion in me. If you have a lot of chocolate, anything that has caffeine that could possibly be a stimulant that's going to keep you awake, that you have to find your best recipe. What combination of things will you do so that you're successfully falling asleep? You know, some people have like mantras, even like the prayers that they go through. And it's like they can't fall asleep until they've done every single part of that. And it's just a de-stressing, I guess, and or putting yourself into a great mindset. I did hear of a study years ago about insomniacs. If they can't sleep in the middle of the night, you get out of bed and you stretch. Because if you're tense, you're not going to sleep very well. You have to be like floppy and relaxed, right? So if you can stretch your muscles, you're more likely to be able to relax, be able to.
It's almost like one of those body scans where, you know, they'll say, okay, you know, engage your toes, squeeze your toes, and then now let those release. And now squeeze like your ankle, tense it up. Like I used to do that with my kids too. There's New Horizons, holistic meditation for kids, but I actually found that one really helpful personally as well because it just slows your mind, but gives you something to concentrate on that's maybe not in your head.
I agree with that. You know what I figured out? I've had 3 kids, right? I figured out that my kids could fall asleep if I made them giggle and laugh. So it became like my thing. I would go in the room and I'd make sure, like, you know, making them laugh, making them giggle. Because if I told them sternly, no, you're supposed to go to bed, and there's crying and there's stress and everything, now they're scared and then they're worried that they're not being loved and all that kind of stuff doesn't work. You know, the whole, I'm going to be the strict parent, I'm going to close the door and tell them go to bed. With adults, the same thing. What if we read joke books or something, or, you know, think of like funny, fun things and just start daydreaming about a good vacation. It gives you that relaxing mindset so you're not focused on negativity.
The common theme is doing something not stressful, like really kind of bringing that stress out of everything by all these different techniques that we've been talking about.
It's true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, Stephanie, did you say something about doing stuff like sense of purpose? Like having something that you've done all day long and now you're exhausted, or that you're excited about going to bed because you get to wake up tomorrow and you're going to make a difference. Finding your purpose, finding your joy, activities that, it's ironic, doing something hard during the day and finding something that's going to exhaust you actually helps you to sleep better, rather than thinking, I need to just keep sleeping and sleeping and sleeping. I need more naps. I'm not sleeping. Do just the opposite. If you didn't sleep well last night, find something hard to do, and then you don't have a choice. You don't even remember falling asleep.
Springtime, you know, you can
cognitive-
garden, all those things, be outside, you know.
Exercise really hard. Choose a calming activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yoga, meditations.
Yes, meditation app that I use is Insight Timer. It's free. There is a plus version, but you definitely don't have to pay for it. And there's a wide variety of different types of meditation. I am not somebody who can just listen to sounds and breathe. I need somebody to like walk me through it and tell me exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I find that those are really, really helpful when it comes to kind of relaxation. And like they have specific ones for sleep, and just kind of give your mind something else to focus on to relax right before you go to bed or before you go into a stressful situation. And again, managing your stress throughout the day is always going to set you up for success too. We don't want to just manage stress in the last hour, but just throughout your day as well. And like there's ones that are as short as 2 to 5 minutes. So it's not something that is extremely time intensive, but I've definitely found that I personally sleep a lot better when I actually do my meditation and try to relax before just getting right into bed.
You know, you mentioned that, but I remember on my Apple Watch, they have this mindfulness
Mhm.
thing that you can schedule, and you can do 1 minute, 2 minute, or 5 minutes, I think. And it just helps you breathe. And that's all you're doing. And you just get these little like touches on your wrist, and it tells you like when to breathe, and then you hold it and then you release.
I have something like that on my Garmin watch. It doesn't vibrate. It doesn't do a touchy thing, but it stresses me out. I've tried it. Like, you need to
So it
relax.
might
And I was
work, it
like,
might not.
okay. And then it tells me, here's what you're going to do. Now you're going to breathe. Now you're going to hold it for 3 seconds. You're going to do it. And I'm like so stressful because I can't breathe like it's telling me to breathe. And it's telling me I'm doing a bad job.
But that's why we have to have lots of options, right? For
Options.
things that are stressful and not stressful for people, because what
Right.
fits me doesn't fit you.
Right. Yeah. If you're trying for perfect, doesn't work. You're like, I will fall asleep right now. Same with your, as a parent, you tell your kids, fall asleep right now. It's not going to happen. You have to redirect. Cognitive behavioral therapy is all about distraction and focusing on something that is more fun so that you forget what you didn't want
But
to
going back to
focus on.
sleep hygiene too, though, I feel like temperature in the room is important.
Yes.
Having a nice cozy bed, you know, maybe not having the snoring spouse there, or finding a different time to be able to sleep. So there's lots of different things that go in, even just to the environment and like getting ready for that, going to bed.
Mhm. Maybe it's a scent, maybe like putting lavender lotion, or maybe lavender isn't what you like, but maybe there's something else like eucalyptus or ginger. I don't
That's a
know.
really good idea. Just not like brownies or cookies that make you
No,
hungry and I have to go downstairs and eat. The
stress.
calming. Yes, think of a spa. You walk into a spa, what do you smell? Something pleasant. What do you hear? Something pleasant. What's the temperature? If you like to be warm and bundled up, just like Stephanie said, make sure your room is like that. If you sleep better, if it's cooler, do that. Do you have a fan on? What is your perfect? Some people love a ton of pillows. Some people hate a ton of pillows. Like, make your room the haven so that you walk in, you're like, I've arrived. I get to get into my bed and go to sleep.
Yeah. Some people it's tea. I do remember a patient's daughter who swore by these teas that had like valerian root in them. And, you know, some people take melatonin and everything. She's like, I just wanted something totally natural. So I used to drink valerian root tea, and oh my gosh, in 10 minutes, I was a puddle.
Yeah, I
That,
think
That's
even
amazing.
just like a warm drink before bed, just something comforting, regardless of what's in it, I think helps because it's just kind of putting you in that relaxation mindset. Most of us don't drink a warm drink to get like amped up and ready for the day unless it's our coffee in the morning. But like if we're drinking something at night, it's like I'm going to have this while maybe I read a few chapters in a book that I'm reading. And it's kind of like a wind down routine. My son gets warm milk before he goes to bed because it helps to calm him down. So, like, same principles from what you used to do as a child still follow into adulthood, but most of us are just really bad at sleep hygiene, and we just plug in our phone and get into bed and expect to just like go to sleep. Unfortunately, it doesn't
How
work
about
that way for a lot of us.
no, it's not a switch. You can't, just like you can't turn on and off your tinnitus. It's not. I know of a lot of patients that have told me that they have no problem falling asleep at night. No problem. It's when they wake up in the middle of the night because they had to pee,
Yep.
they can't get back to sleep. what do you suggest for that? Like they don't have this runway, they're of time to do whatnot. Maybe the spouse is snoring. I mean, honestly, having a spouse snore, as long as you don't categorize that as something negative, is another sound source that makes it so you don't hear
Yeah.
the tinnitus as loud.
And well, maybe their snoring can vary as well. So maybe it's like, hey, if you roll over to that, like just a smidge over, I can tolerate that. Sometimes I grab a rice pack that's been in the freezer, just as like a different like sensory thing to help distract me to go
Or
back.
you're gonna say you throw it at Matt.
Yeah.
Matt,
Use it as a weapon.
Apply an ice
Yeah.
sometimes
pack.
I grab a rice pack from the freezer.
Sometimes that's just another, like it distracts me by having this temperature change, right?
Yeah.
And so kind of like if you have a headache or a migraine or something, you might whip out that ice pack as well. And then I usually restart my sounds, maybe change it up. And actually sometimes I take a CBD gummy to help me go back to sleep because I become a puddle after 10 minutes of that.
I also feel too, on top of the tinnitus, people can have like racing thoughts, you know, like when
Yes.
thoughts are going around, like you can't escape your own head. And
Yeah.
so I've heard from other people that like just write down those things just to get them out of your brain and like onto paper, because that way you can kind of let it go and then just almost like worry about it in the morning. You know, like that's just one
I
more
do
thing
that.
you can do and not have to do it right now. It's still there. It's like almost like just get out of your brain a little bit and, you know, not be so focused.
Absolutely good idea. Right, because you're trying to solve all of the world's problems and you blame the tinnitus. So you're like, there it is. And now I have to think about this. Right, getting it on paper so you can just roll over and go to sleep. Speaking of, has anyone tried one of those sound pillows? They're like Bluetooth
I have
and it
not.
has the sounds in the pillow. I haven't either. Maybe we
I
should order
haven't,
one
but
and
I'm
try it.
intrigued by it.
What?
Yeah.
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 And like the sound headbands, where I
Yeah.
think it's like more travel friendly, I guess, because it's like, yeah, you can set up everything lovely at home, but then you go to travel and the hotel is like, you got to bring your own sound machine, you got to bring all the things that like you become accustomed to. It's like if the little headbands with the sounds helps, then I think that's good to know that I think that's easier to pack. And like there's a bunch of portable sound machines if that's something that you need. And I've actually found that a few hotels actually have sound machines in every room now. So I think that's a positive. I packed my own because I can't sleep in silence. And I showed up to the room. I'm like, oh, there's a sound machine. It was the Four Seasons downtown.
Because I have never seen that. That's nice.
Four
For
Seasons
my friend's
downtown
wedding.
is nice. That's great. So let's all stay at the Four Seasons. Or, you know,
Exactly.
frankly, treat yourself like you are going to a spa or you're at the Four Seasons every night. These places charge a lot of money, but those little things that you buy are not expensive on Amazon. And you deserve to have a scent that you love and a little bit of sound that you love. It could be just a rainstorm or something. And then the right sheets. I feel like sometimes the sheets make all the difference, whether they're cool or not. I don't understand the generation right now that doesn't believe in a top sheet, personally. I just
I don't
found out
use a
like in
top sheet.
Iceland, all the places had comforters, but no sheets. Even in Nepal, no top sheet, just a nice comforter. But to each his own. Personally, I like a top sheet, so it's not too hot, not too cold. But that's the thing. You make what will make you feel warm and comfortable. Are there like towel heaters? You ever
Yeah.
go to a place and they put a warm towel on you and that's so calming? Or there's even weighted blankets
Mm-hmm.
that you can put on that just makes you feel comfortable. So you
It
can
is.
relax.
It's like a hug.
It is like a
Yeah.
hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is so hard sometimes. And having these little teeny things together can help make the tinnitus not seem so bad, or you don't even realize that you're just nice and comfortable and you fall asleep. Because honestly, you deserve to feel good. You deserve to be relaxed. And then when you wake up the next day and someone goes, "How'd you sleep?" You're like, "I slept great. Oh my gosh." Like it just makes a difference. You can just see it
Mhm.
in the person's eyes and you can hear it in their tone of their voice. Even if you don't see them, you can hear it and they're like, I slept amazing. You're like, that's so good. Or I'm like, I don't even
It
remember
does change
sleeping.
your day. It totally changes your day. If you have a good night's
Totally.
sleep, it's just like the day is yours.
You don't need as much coffee. You're meeting nice people. I just feel great because lack of sleep really affects your health.
Mhm.
Cascading effect. Any gadgets anybody's tried? Emily, can we talk about the sound machine that they had at the Four Seasons? What did it look like?
It was just like a big disc. It looked like something like an Amazon Dot, but bigger. It might have been Amazon. I did not look that close into it, but it just played nice, consistent noise, and there was different options. And I think that is nice to drown out other people that are walking down the hallway in the hotel, but also just to provide a consistent noise input rather than hearing the fan come on and then off, and then
Mhm.
it's just the unknown noises of being somewhere that's not the place you usually sleep.
Maybe the ice machine down the hallway.
Right. Or you get close to the elevator and you're hearing that ding all night long.
Personally, for me, it's not the sounds. I agree with all of those, but if it's an alarm clock with the digital lights, or there's like an emergency exit light or something,
Oh, yeah.
I swear I close my eyes and it's ingrained in my eyeballs and I feel like it's coming through and I have to like put something over that. I can sleep in silence, I can sleep in noise, but I cannot sleep with light. I have to
iMac.
have everything blacked.
Those are helpful too for sleeping. Yeah. They have really
Yep.
soft, like comfortable ones now. They're not like the ones they give you on an airplane or
They
whatever.
do. I think I was gifted one by somebody in this podcast that was lavender scented.
Mm-hmm.
A really soft, like faux leather material. So it was just really comforting.
Yeah. And then there are sleep specialists. Sometimes it is chemical, sometimes it is something else. It's poor breathing patterns, sleep apnea.
Right.
If these things don't work, I would definitely seek out a sleep specialist because it's not your fault. Sometimes there's other things that are going on, you know, or if you did just move and you're hearing a lot of new sounds, I would give it some time. I was visiting my daughter this weekend in Philadelphia, and where her apartment complex is right on the Schuylkill River, which is gorgeous. There's a trail, but on the other side of the river, right there, is this train line. I have never seen so many trains in my life. I'm like, this is every 4-year-old boy's dream. There's a train, and there's a train, and there's a train, and there's a train, and then all night long, there's a train. Chugga, chugga, chugga. If that's not your thing, that can be a problem, but she doesn't even hear it. She habituated to it. It's actually comforting to her. When she moves back this way, she's probably going to have to get an app that has a chugging train because she's not going to be able to sleep.
But there's also been a lot of advancements with sleep apnea, with them actually doing the sleep studies, because you used to have to leave your house and go to this facility and then you're not going to sleep anyway. Now you can actually bring all this stuff home. So you're sleeping in your own bed, in your own comfort. If you're intimidated by the whole sleep study, you don't have to go sleep somewhere else anymore.
How do they diagnose someone with a sleep disorder and say they were awake all night when they're sleeping in some weird, strange hospital room?
As somebody that has done this, they're like, okay, it's really ideal if you sleep on your back. I am a stomach and side sleeper. I'm not going to sleep at all. Like, so,
All those electrodes and you're
but
touching
maybe
them.
if it were at home, it would be, different, because at least everything else would be normal around me,
Yeah,
or as normal
I
as
agree.
it.
And
As a
there
back
is
sleeper who's had this done, I had no problem sleeping. It was actually a
After
really
the
nice room.
baby.
Because you didn't have any other distractions in your house, like a dog or a spouse or a child.
It was in 2017. So it was
Oh, it
a
was before
long
stuff
time
and-
ago.
And
If you have trouble sleeping, it's okay if you're not sleeping because they're monitoring you all night long. So they're going to see why you're not sleeping and like
Yeah.
what electrodes you're setting off. So
Sure.
no performance anxiety for sleep studies.
No, I mean, I looked at it as like, okay, we're going in. I don't have to wake up with my kids
Yeah.
or my dogs. thought I was going in with a real positive mindset, and it was fine. I did wake up. I did fall asleep.
Mhm.
I
But,
was
like,
wondering
did
what you
not take a
naturally
dummy.
experience.
I didn't
Sounds
take
Like a glass of wine and some popcorn.
no. I mean, I think I had water.
Only
I don't
red.
like tea. I don't think I brought that with, but I did bring like a book or a Sudoku puzzle. So I did that for a little bit, and then I just set it down. I had my little, I had lavender lotion that I'd used, and yeah. So you do your normal sleep hygiene. So I guess that really is it, like coming up with what works for you.
Yeah. Sounds good. Anything else that you guys can think of that any patients have said have worked for them or didn't work for them? If you have a small bladder, we'll say, maybe don't have the hot beverage beforehand or just a little bit, obviously. You do you and you figure out what works best for you. It is something to plan for, though. You might have to take a whole day or a week to plan out even just your bedding. Maybe you get very upset if you feel like your room is messy. So you might need to take some time to organize the room and make it that safe haven. Or maybe you do need to buy more pillows. Your sleep is very important. And so our patients, I think we all agree, that say that they got a great night's sleep, their tinnitus is rated at a softer level. And the way that it's causing a barrier in their life is lower as well after they've started sleeping better. They're feeling more confident about themselves, and they feel like they have more control.
Set yourself up for success.
I love it. We can give some resources here, and apps are great, and some people wear earplugs, some people do not, some have sleep pillows, sometimes there's a sound generator in the room. Sometimes you have to take the time, schedule it with whoever your significant other is. If you share a bedroom with someone, and go through all of the sounds and choose what sounds you both agree with.
That's a
So
good
that, you're not disturbing anyone in the middle of the night if you turn on something, because they actually like it too. All right. Well, we will see you on our next podcast episode. If you have any suggestions or if you'd like to be on our podcast, we are interviewing people with their own stories about their hearing journey, their tinnitus journey, any difficulties just processing speech, sound. We haven't had a musician yet, which I feel like we need to have a professional musician, because it's all related to the ears. And the more that you share your story, the more that others can benefit from hearing your story, because it won't change the diagnosis, but it does help them to know that there are others like them out there.
Absolutely.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Hearing Wellness Journey podcast. For more information about what we do and the services we provide, please visit our website at hearingwellnessjourney.com/podcast, where you can find more resources based on today's discussion, as well as request to be a member of our Hearing Wellness Journey community on Facebook. That's available for our listeners exclusively on hearingwellnessjourney.com/podcast.